Atlanta Motor Speedway, located about 20 miles south of downtown Atlanta in Hampton, Georgia, has come a very long way from the first race, held in 1960 and won by NASCAR legend Fireball Roberts, who also took the pole at 133 miles per hour. Spectators from that day who watched from one small grandstand were on blankets spread out on an adjacent dirt bank. Wouldn't begin to recognize the facility today, even down to its name. Dubbed Atlanta International Raceway when it opened, the track struggled financially through the 60s and 70s before finding a degree of stability in the 1980s. Real change came following Bruton Smith's purchase of the facility in 1990, with the transformation of Atlanta International Speedway occurring in 1997, with extensive reconfiguration that switched front and back straightaways and added a double dogleg in the new front straightaway. In the 7 intervening years, new grandstands sprouted almost every year, and a 9-story tower, Terra Place, that now houses the track offices and a number of luxury condominiums. Atlanta has been a staple on the NASCAR calendar for decades. Tonight, it's the SkunkWorksGraphics.com 190, and it's next on HBR TV. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway for tonight's SkunkWorksGraphics.com 190 here from Atlanta. Practice just about wrapped up. Few minutes remaining. Let's take a look at the race details. 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's hot Atlanta for sure. 39% humidity. Clear skies. Nice and sunny. 11-mile-per-hour breeze. That could play a factor here with these trucks. They punch a big hole in the air. You add that factor of extra wind. It could make things, well, kind of tricky out there. Track temp 129 degrees, also something we're going to want to keep an eye on, as that's going to loosen these trucks up quite a bit, slip and slide on that hot pavement. Tires not necessarily an issue at places like this, but Atlanta, it's kind of a hit and miss. We'll see if the tire and track temperature have anything to do with it here tonight. Again, practice still underway here at the Speedway. Alfie Charon, your fast time, 30.45. Couple of minutes left. Paul Durkee, second quick, 30.47. Zach Millett finally out of the teens. He's up in the third spot at 30.49. Brian Torsha, 30.50. And the 29, Jesse Sperling, a 30.52. Again, it is the SkunkWorksGraphics.com 190 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. SkunkWorksGraphics.com jumping on as the title sponsor once again here in the Numb Racing League, the Davidson Builders Truck Series. Chris Klein practicing some pit entry, carrying the truck right to the edge of the grass. I don't know if he got in there on time or not, but looked pretty good. Ben McKinnon parking it there on the low side of the racetrack. Only a few drivers still on the track here. Alfie Charon, Zach Millett, Brian Torsha. Connor Leach in the 71. Connor would make it 2 Canadians in the field tonight. Here with Jarrett Woodard in the number 79, also out of Canada. Our neighbors to the north. With that, practice comes to an end. We'll take a look at the results of the session. Alfie was fastest. Paul Durkee second quick. Zach Millett, Brian Torsha, Jesse Sperling, your top 5. Again, all these times here from practice, they'll be draft times. Low 30s, we think we saw for the fastest times. I think a 30:43 out of Alfie Charon. Connor Leach is going to pull out of pit lane here. We'll see what kind of time he can lay down. I don't know if Connor was trying to save the truck or trying to build some heat in the tires. I wouldn't say that's an ideal thing to do in qualifying here at this racetrack. Very similar to how you'd want to run a qualifying attempt at Daytona or Talladega. You want as low as you can get those tire pressures because that's going to sink the truck as close to the racetrack as possible, especially on the rear tires. As pressures come up, it does raise the height of that rear spoiler. The lower you can keep it down, the better it's going to go through the wind. Could be worth a 10th, you never know. Leach takes the green flag on his qualifying attempt. A couple drivers already got a lap in here. The 31 of Scott Miller, fastest so far, 32:63. Again, vastly different lap times than what we saw in the practice session. Draft makes a huge difference in the pace in these trucks. 33:206 for Leach, his first time by. Millett sixth his first lap, 32:94. Paul Durkee goes top of the board with a 32:49. DL and Grote matches it. So does Sperling. Lawson, not to be outdone, runs a 32:48 to put the 18 top of the board. Millett back to the stripe. Goes P1, 32.394 for Zach Millett. Caleb Sisk finishes up 7th quick, 32.503. Another new paint scheme for the 6. Tony Polk out of Waterford, Michigan. 33.25 first lap. Lap number 2 in the books for Tony Polk. Is it faster? It is. 14th quick, 32.912. Ben McKinnon, 16th his first time by, 32.94. Fast time Millett, 32.39. Alfie Charon, second quick, 32.45. McKinnon back to the dog leg. 12th quick, 32.539 for Ben McKinnon. Meanwhile, PJ Cox just wrapping up his lap, 32.51. Handful of drivers have yet to take a time. Chris Klein, Russ Kilgore, Jesse Redding, Joe Tucker, Tom Barish, Jarrett Woodard, Jeff Ottinger, Mark Collins. It is a 10-minute session. 6 minutes remain. Curious to see who is going to roll, if anybody. They may opt just to start from the back, but that's about, well, almost half the field. That's only 17 drivers have taken the time thus far. The rest haven't even attempted one. We'll see if they wait it out here for the track temperature to cool off. Could be the case, but with that, we're going to take this opportunity to get a break out of the way. And stay with us, folks. We'll be right back after this.
met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, qualifying just about wrapped up, a hair over a minute remaining. While we have the opportunity, let's take a look at the point standings coming into tonight. Week 9 in the books. Iowa was our last race. Zach Millett with the win. Taking a look at the point standings as they run right now. Zach Millett, 430 points. He's got 37 over Joshua Sisk. Alfie Charon third. Derek Welch fourth, but not here tonight, unfortunately. Skylar Harrod fifth. You got Brandon Coleman, Brian Torsha, 6 and 7. Mark Collins, PJ Cox, Evan Dupre, the top 10, and so on down to the 20th and then 35th position. If all goes well tonight, Millett has an opportunity to lock up the regular season championship. We'll see if that comes to fruition. If Caleb Sisk is able to knock him out of that position, Millett just needs to stay out of trouble here, I think, and have a strong run. He should be okay. A couple of drivers still took an opportunity in qualifying that we didn't expect. Jarrett Woodard on the racetrack right now. Woodard's going to run out of time, unfortunately, though. And that's that. So with that, let's take a look at our starting grid. On the pole position with a lap time of 32.394 seconds, it's the 315 of Zach Millen. Outside front row, teammate Alfie Sharon Jr. missed it by 57 thousandths. He'll start second in the number 9. Starting in row number 2, Chris Klein in the number 51 with Jesse Sperling, the number 29, starting to his right elbow. Row 3, Justin Lawson and Paul Durkee. Row 4, it's D. Allen Grote and Jacob Sperling. Row 5, Caleb Sisk, still messing that one up. In the 6th, Scott Milner, starting 10th. 11th is Connor Leach, 12th, Mark Collins. 13th starter is going to be Brandon Coleman. 14th goes to PJ Cox. 15th starters, Ben McKinnon. Tom Barish will start from the 16th position. 17th goes to Albert Anderson. Brian Torsha will start 18th. 19th starter is Tony Polk. Eric Beadle will start 20th, with Jarrett Woodard starting 21st. Joe Tucker in the 35 with Hostile Intent Gaming. He'll start 22nd. Jeff Ottinger starts 23rd. Jesse Redding will start 24th, and 25th on the grid is the 7th of Russ Kilgore. Your starting grid here for the Davidson Builders Truck Series. SkunkWorksGraphics.com 190. Field sits on pit lane here, getting ready to roll off the grid here. Again, once again, if you're just joining us, the race details for tonight, 125 laps, the race distance, 90 degrees, ambient temperature coming up just a bit. Certainly hot here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, 38% humidity, clear skies, that sun bearing down on the racetrack, and the breeze has picked up as well, 13 miles per hour. Track temperature also up quite a bit from practice. It was 129.
Going next time.
In the practice session, temperature now 136 degrees Fahrenheit. Only got one chatter in the stream chat so far. It's Skunkworks Graphics Racing saying good luck to everyone tonight. Guys, as always, don't be shy. And there's Matt Sisler. Howdy, Steve in chat. Should be an interesting with these trucks at this tight super speedway. I don't know if interesting is the word I'm going to go with, but we're going to stick with it for now, I guess. I think scary is the word that I was looking for. Drivers still trying to get caught up to the field here. They better get moving quick, because if this thing goes green, no, they're going to go one extra lap here. One more time around, get everybody sorted. 2 HBR TV trucks leading the field to the green flag. One more time around. We got Eddie Rose in the chat as well. Thanks for watching, Eddie. Once again, got to make mention here, it is the SkunkWorksGraphics.com 190 here from Atlanta. Big thanks to Skunkworks for jumping on board here to cover a couple of races this season as far as sponsorship is concerned. Every little bit helps. Everybody formed up 2 by 2. You may see some 3-wide racing here. Again, this track's going to run like a super speedway, but it is very tight. Pace car pulls off. Wait for Barney to wave the green. They're in the start zone. Green flag is in the air. We're racing from Atlanta Motor Speedway. second hold due to an incident at the last race at Iowa. Now, this could be a major detriment to Alfie, but track like this and the racing we expect to see here, caution likely to come out at some point here. He should be able to get a lap back. With that said, back out front, the battle hot and heavy for the race lead. Oh, we got somebody around. He saves it into the grass. Justin Lawson, perhaps? Indeed it was. Lawson, the 18 truck, getting crossed up. Let's go back and take a quick look at it. The 14 just gets to the left rear. Lifts just in time, prevents Lawson from going completely around, but costs him a ton of track position. It's really changed things up, and we got another car around.
Caution.
Caution's out this time, but I think everybody gathered it up.
Drink. Get a deep breath.
So there it is, first caution of the race. Alfie's leaving the pits right now. I don't know if he was down a lap yet or not. This caution coming out maybe just a tick too soon for the 9 to gain any benefit from it. We'll see. Try to get a catch to see what triggered this. I thought I saw the Hardy's car, or truck that is, go around. That was Mark Collins. Let's see if we can find him and get a better view on this. See, the 19 has started to spin here. That's Brandon Coleman. We'll back it up a bit. See the 55 of Tom Barish. He's just taking a peek to the inside, but Coleman shuts the door, and he's starting to come down as it looks like the 88, I believe, was starting to come up. They make a little bit of contact. And around they go, and it was just enough, I guess, to send the caution out. And it looks like everyone's going to get through here without major incident, I believe. Yep, I think they got away with this one. So Alfie Charon still shown as last. Might have lost 2 laps out of that exchange. Not 100% sure yet. We'll follow up on that when we go back green to see where he cycles through. Yeah, Vincent Short in the stream chat saying, "What's up, Steve?" What's going on, Vince? Thanks for watching. Yeah, it looks like Alfie's going to be 2 laps down, so he's going to get the first one back, I would assume. Yeah, Derek Welch in the stream chat. Again, it was not able to make it here tonight, but asking how many trucks we've got. 25 out on the racetrack tonight. Solid field. Lights on the pace car have gone out, and I have not seen the 9 get waved by just yet, so unfortunately I don't know if he's going to get that lucky dog. Which means he still needs 2 more cautions to come out before he can get back on the lead lap. Pretty stiff penalty at 45 seconds. Equates to 1 minute and 30 seconds total because he had to come down pit lane, serve that penalty, and then leave. So 45-second hold, that is pretty significant. That's holding for effectively 2 laps, 3 if you do the math. Green flag laps are about 30 seconds in the draft, 30 to 31, so 90 seconds overall pit stop time, including the penalty. Pace car is in.
Green flag.
Going back racing. Millett jumps back out in front. Chris Klein second. Tom Barish third. Anderson and Sperling rounding out the top 5. Derek Welch in his stream chat. Unfortunately, as we said, Derek wasn't able to make the race tonight. He's out at the emergency room with his mom. Unfortunately, she fell. It seems that she's okay for the most part, but Derek obviously having to go make sure mom's doing okay. Can't blame him at all for that. See you next week, Derek. Ten laps in, Millett out in front of Chris Klein. Klein's right there, just stalking the 315. Good looking new paint scheme on that truck this week for the 51.
Caution's out.
And caution on the speedway once
Your
again.
mic sounds like it's a little far away from your mouth again. Just double check that for us, please.
Trouble here at pit entry. Got a few trucks involved. Alfie Sharon, Brian Torsha, Jarrett Woodard, Caleb Sisk, 23 Mark Collins. Sisk with some right front damage. Let's go take a look and see what happened. The 14 again gets to the left rear of another driver. This time it's Brian Torsha, and it stacks up 5 or 6 drivers here at pit entry. Two cautions so far, both off the nose of the 14 truck. Let's get a look here from the onboard of the 14. See if we can get a better look at this. Slow it down and back it up a little further, get a better idea. Quarter speed here, middle of the corner. Looks like Grote's keeping his position on the bottom of the racetrack. Comes up off the line just a hair. Gets into the left rear of the 81, around he goes. Then just chain reaction after that. Alfie getting it, Mark Collins. The 19 coming into it late, driving through some guys. Same with the 13. All these trucks right on top of each other. It's hard to get woed down. So, second caution of the night. 11 laps in. And once again, Alfie gets the short end of the stick here because he would have had opportunity to get that lucky dog, but because he was involved in this caution, it's not happening. And Alfie's going to have to get some pit work done here. He's got some damage to the rear end of his truck and the front end. Drivers do have one fast repair. I'm curious if Alfie's going to take it. It doesn't look terrible. Place like this, you almost want to save it late as you can. into the pits. No faster pair used, so Alexa Galfi's going to hang on to it and see what he can come up with here. He still has work to do, has to get back on the lead lap. And just like that, pace car lights are out again, so next time by, back to the green flag. Pace car about to pull off here. We'll go back to the green flag in just a moment. Field approaches the Geico restart zone.
Green flag.
Green flag back in the air. Millett maintaining his position out in front of Chris Klein in a battle now for the third spot. Albert Anderson and Tom Barish side by side. Klein taking a peek to the outside with some drafting help. Around the 315 is Zach Millett. He's going to go for the lead here into turn number 3. Chris Klein to the point. Albert Anderson trying to follow him through. Chris Klein takes the lap. Gets those bonus points. Barish keeping a little bit of distance off the back bumper of the 315. That's the difference between the top 4 drivers. The outside lane with Klein and Anderson. Anderson giving a big time push to that 51 truck. No rule about locking bumpers here in the Numb Thumbs Racing League. You do see it in the Craftsman Truck Series. You're not allowed to tandem draft, as they say. But here, no holds barred. Anderson comes down, almost some contact to the right side door of Zach Millett. Klein maintains the top spot off of turn number 2. On board with Chris Klein. Start-finish line, 18 laps in. Chris Klein, the race leader, but still not fully clear of the 315. This is likely to stay a side-by-side battle for a while. It's going to take some serious aggression to really get by and get clear. At this point, it doesn't really matter. Got to wait for those last couple of laps here before you really make a strong move, because so much can change in just a couple of laps here with the drafting the way that it gets done here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Some of these guys having a hard time keeping the truck on the bottom of the racetrack, pinned on that red line. That's the intent, but midway through the corner, you see a couple of guys starting to drift up just a bit. Now Tom Barish tucks in a little closer to Zach Millett, pushes the 315 out in front just a bit. Taking a look to the inside. Klein doing a good job battling back, but very strong pusher and Albert Anderson in tow. Also got the 88, Jacob Sperling in the mix as well. Top 5 right now, it's Chris Klein, Zach Millett, Anderson, Barish, and Jacob Sperling. Top 5 trucks starting to get a little bit of an advantage over the rest of the field. In formation as Millett slides up the racetrack, blocks the run from the 51 and retakes the top spot, but he does get clear. An aggressive move early on by Zach Millett. Remember, Alfie Charon still back in the 25th position, 2 laps down. Going to need some help here tonight. Going to need a couple of cautions just to get back on the lead lap. Now Tom Barish to the low side. He gets to the left of Zach Millett for the race lead here at Atlanta. Back down the back straightaway, side by side, the drag race down into turn number 3. Millett still has it. Big time push from the 51 of Klein. You see it right there, contact through the dog leg into turn number 1. Klein pushing Millett with all he's got. I don't want to say things are starting to settle down. It's starting to look like they are, but again, at this place, anything could happen. Anything could change in a moment's notice. We've seen that happen so many times. They're double file from the leaders all the way back to maybe almost 15th spot. Millett still out in front here. Chris Klein just taking care of his stuff there in behind the 315. Fuel window is 34 to 36 laps. Now that was if we stayed green the whole time. We've had a couple of cautions, so that would extend that out maybe to the 40 or 42 lap range. That might even be a little light. Could go a little bit longer. Usually a lap under caution saves about a lap of fuel under green. Oh, almost some contact there with Chris Klein and Millett. Klein checked up just enough. Millett out in front here, a few feet, maybe half a truck length between the two of them. Down the back straightaway here. Millett, Klein, Anderson, the top 3 on the outside line. On the bottom, it's Barish. BJ Cox and Joe Tucker up 16 spots in the 6th position. Turn number 4, Millett still with the lead. Chris Klein tucked in nice and tight in behind. Albert Anderson the same. Got to be careful there in that outside lane, though. You see Chris Klein not afraid to push the 315. But we saw earlier when Klein was out in front, Albert Anderson, the number 99, was not afraid to push Klein. Hopefully he's afraid to push Klein when he's the meat in the sandwich. You don't ever want to push the pusher. It's usually a recipe for disaster. 31 laps in. Millett, Barish, Klein, PJ Cox, Albert Anderson, the top 5, and it changes about every 100 yards. Drew Prail in the stream chat. Arm the torpedoes, time to die. We've had a couple of incidents so far to this point, but so far after that, it's been pretty clean. I have a feeling it's going to get much, much worse by the end of this thing, but it's just the way they go sometimes. Millett now side by side with Barish. Barish on the bottom there, now loses about a car length, maintains that lead position in the low lane. He's got PJ Cox in behind in the 88 of Jacob Sperling. Jesse Sperling in the number 21 machine running 8th. Correction, Jesse Redding is in the 21. Jesse Sperling's in the 29, and a little bit of side-by-side action there for the race lead. I don't know if there was contact between Millett and Barish. If there wasn't, it was awfully close. Close once again. I don't know if Barish is trying to work the side draft a bit, trying to slow down the momentum of the race leader, trying to take that away from 315. Back to start finish. Millett with the race lead, but not by a wide margin by any imagination. Barish with a big run out of the dog leg into turn number 1, now alongside Chris Klein. Slides up the racetrack a bit. We're starting to see that as the tires build some heat and get some wear into them. Guys having a difficult time keeping the truck pinned on that red line. Tom Barish nose out into the race lead here. Outside, Zach Millett builds a big run out of the corner. Down the backstretch, they'll be side by side again. I think the outside line's got a little bit more organization in that draft. 5 trucks, they were lined up nicely. On the inside line, still as many trucks, but they weren't real organized. You want to see that very tight single file line to really push the upper or lower lanes into the draft. That line looks real squiggly, so to speak. It's not going to be quite as fast as those guys that are lined up pin straight. "36 laps in here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Fuel tank starting to get a little light, a little bit empty. Starting to expect to see some green flag pit stops here in a matter of time. See, Alfie Charon has worked his way up with the top 10 drivers, though he is still 2 laps down. He's going to try and get a lap back on his own. I don't know how well that's going to pay off. You got to fight your way through. It's almost, you got to weigh the risk benefit here. Is it worth the aggression as the 88 drops down below the red line for a moment, slides back up the track. Everybody gets away with it. No issue. Everybody keeps going straight. Millett still to the outside of Tom Barish. Barish really holding his own here. PJ Cox not being very aggressive in behind in pushing the 55 if he was willing to do so. Again, I know it's early here, but if he was willing to do so, I'd be willing to bet Barish would be able to get up and clear Zach Millett. Now there's a big gap for Millett with no help. Chris Klein, a couple of truck lengths off the back bumper. It's going to give Barish the lead at the line. He hasn't led a lap yet. He definitely led that one. And there he goes, Millett up the racetrack with no drafting help. It looks like some drivers are trying to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. Chris Klein checked up a bit, built some space between himself and Zach Millett, and then dropped to the low side. Millett now does the same. As I said, probably going to lap 40, 42, maybe to see if these guys are going to start coming down for the green flag pit stops. And here's the leader, Tom Barish.
Caution.
And we got trouble. Millett.
Did you hear any static?
Slides through the grass, coming into pit entry. He's going to go back onto the racetrack. I think PJ Cox may stay in pit lane. I don't know if he got into the commitment line before the caution came out. This could work out quite well for him if that was the case. He's going to pull into his pit box as long as he got on pit road before the yellow flew. This is like a free stop for Tom Barish. Fuel only for the 55. He's down and away. He'll get his pit work done here. We'll see if he gets away with this one. In fact, we'll go back and look at it. It's a big jam up trying to get to pit lane. You see Barish down the bottom of the racetrack and just big time guys running over each other. I want to take a better look at this different angle in just a moment here, but I don't know what happened here with Barish. If he just got on the brakes too hard and locked him up, spun the truck around a bit, I still think he'll be okay, but he might have an unsafe entry. I don't know. We'll see what goes on here. Going back to Zach Millett, let's see what happened here with the 315. Guys were just checked up big time here. Joe Tucker drives straight in the back of Zach Millett. I can't imagine Zach was trying to check up to get to pit lane here because he wasn't in the right lane. He dumped down to the low side on the backstretch, but on the exit of 4, he was up in that upper lane. I don't know what happened there. On board with Joe Tucker. Yeah, you see the closing rate was significant there. I just don't know if Joe saw him slowing up as much as he had been, or, you know what, Millett may have jumped up in that lane. Let's watch this real time. Yeah, so the late entry, that's what it looks like to me, is the late entry to pit lane from Tom Barish. I mean, he was getting all he could, but it checked up the guys behind him a bit. Millett picked up on it. He didn't want to run over the guy in front of him, so he just jumped to the outside. But he had already lifted and checked up, probably for pit lane himself, so his momentum was slowed considerably. Tucker was planning on going another lap at least, so he was still at max speed. You see Millett slides up the track here. There was definitely contact with Sperling and PJ Cox, and then there you see it. Chain reaction crash, and Alfie Charon gets involved in it again. Guy can't buy a break. So, Tom Barish still on the racetrack. Looks like he is going to get a ding for some kind of penalty here. I'm not sure what it was. It's all dependent on when the yellow came out. Hard for us to really say. We don't have as much technology there to pinpoint that. Well, maybe I can. Let's try it. I bet you I can do this. So at the time of the yellow flag, yeah, you see Tom Barish there. He's art. Well, no, it hadn't come out yet. Yeah, it's not going to be. It's strictly a guess at this point. I'm saying the yellow's probably out right here. The light's green on pit lane, but some tracks, I don't know if it's 100% accurate. Let's change angles here. Barish, the green light's still on. And yeah, I don't know. I think if anything, he might have gotten a penalty for this part of it where he ends up in the grass in pit lane. I can't imagine that that's what it is. I suppose it's possible, but the red lights on pit entry did not come on until after Barish was in pit lane, so I'm not sure what the penalty is for there. Meanwhile, we're back green flag racing. Pit stops already done. Caution's getting done in a hurry here in Atlanta. Sorry, guys. Back out front, Chris Klein and Albert Anderson, the top two. Chris Goins in the stream chat following up on the incident. That's the new Atlanta pit road. That's exactly why NASCAR moved entry to the backstretch. Hopefully they do the same in the sim. Davidson now your new race leader here down the back straightaway into turn number 3. He's got a pusher in Brandon Coleman and Chris Klein on the bottom side. Coleman take a look up the middle, opts not to go for that route. Caleb Sisk now into the top 5 as well. He's tucked back in behind Coleman. So I was going to say we were about to get some green flag pit stops, but that all went out the window because just in time the caution came out. So with that, we're going to step aside to an HBR TV side-by-side break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway for the skunkworksgraphics.com 190. 52 laps in, Chris Klein was the race leader. Brandon Coleman is now taking it away by just an inch or two. This is going to go back and forth, I'm assuming, for a handful of laps or more. Coleman in the number 19, the black and yellow machine up top. Chris Klein, the Beaver Direct 51 on the bottom. turn number 1. Klein edges out in front. Coleman maintaining his position to his right side. Second row is Jeff Ottinger and Albert Anderson, a couple of longtime veterans here in the Numb Racing League. Jeff Ottinger the same, running in 4th. Jarrett Woodard, Russ Kilgore fighting for the 5th position. Kilgore in that bright green number 7, can't miss that truck. Not a whole lot changing here at the front of the field. It's a seesaw back and forth between Klein and Coleman for the race lead. Again, it's going to take some help and some aggression from a lot of guys here to get some positions moved around, especially out in front. Difficult to get this one done on your own. Anderson was showing the ability to push very well early on with Chris Klein. It was out in front of him. But now Anderson up in the high lane behind the 19 of Coleman, and you got Jeff Ottinger in behind Klein. What happens to these top 2 drivers is largely dependent on the trucks that are in behind them. Do they push? Do they work their way? Do they try and help that driver take that race lead? Are they content just riding? We're still not quite halfway, so I'm going to go with content to ride, at least for now. Scott Milner running back in the 19th spot. To his right elbow, it's a blinky number 20. It's Tony Polk. Mark Collins with a new paint scheme this week. The number 23 Hardy's entry. Looks like a Days of Thunder throwback. Really liking that truck this week. Jumping back into the top 10 after being involved in that crash coming to pit lane. Field getting stacked up pretty significantly. I don't know if Millet had to use the fast repair or not, but nevertheless, he's still on the lead lap and back into the top 10, working his way back towards the front. Meanwhile, he's got the 15 of Ben McKinnon to his left side. Oh, one truck up in the wall, the 88 is Sperling. Just kind of slaps the right side, continues on. Russ Kilgore for a moment there jumped below that red line in the dogleg. I don't know that you can do that in race conditions without catching a slowdown. We'll see if he stays out there in that position. Already starting to see these guys having trouble keeping the truck in their line. Just on the bottom, we've seen it up topside again. The 88 of Sperling slipped up the racetrack, put the right sides in the safer barrier, kept going. Chris Kilgore got away with that one. No penalty, and he stays out on the track. Currently in the 5th, well, now 6th position. It goes back and forth with himself and Jarrett Woodard for the time being. Chris Goins in the chat once again says, Jesse Redding employing the Goins strategy for super speedways. Run top 10, involved in a wreck, fast repair, hide in the back and pray. 30% of the time it works, about 50-50. Pretty good summarization. Back out front, a battle for the race lead. Coleman had it by himself for just a moment, but they might go around both sides. Sandwich the 19 truck. Chris Klein's going to go to the race lead. He's got an option here, stay where he's at or go up the racetrack. He's going to stay on the bottom for now. I tell you, I almost would have gone up. Trying to slide up in front of the 99 of Albert Anderson. Anderson was such a great pusher early on. As Joe Tucker gets a piece of the outside wall as well. He's going to be a little bit off the pace, but continues on. Now the battle between Anderson and Chris Klein. Side by side, out in front here down the back straightaway. We're just past halfway. Some of your biggest movers on the racetrack thus far. Jeff Ottinger in the 4th position. He's up 19 spots in that number 76. The same can be said for Russ Kilgore. Kilgore running now back at 7th. Both of those drivers actually losing a position while we're talking about how much they've gained, but still both the biggest gainers. Up 18 spots at this stage of the race. Got the Tucker family and Chastity Tucker also stepping in the chat saying, "Go Tucker." Thanks for watching, guys. Albert Anderson back out in front here with the 19 of Coleman pushing. Klein on the bottom with not a whole lot of help, or really none for that matter. Ottinger is keeping about a truck length and a half, maybe more. As another car in the wall, another truck in the wall in the back straightaway. Might have been Sperling once again. Indeed it was, the 88 Grizzly machine catching the outside wall. But as we've seen so often, he continues on. Once again, the battle for the lead between the 51 of Chris Klein and Albert Anderson. Still heated up here off the turn number 2 down the backstretch. Ottinger's right there. He could certainly get a little closer to the tailgate of that 51. It would be a big time help for the 51, but he's also got Kilgore there. He can tuck in a little closer as well. Tell the drivers that like to be on that top side. They're good at draft tracks. Lined up nicely. Again, we talked about it earlier on in the broadcast. Being organized, and I don't mean keeping all your paperwork in a row. No, that's important too. But a nice organized drafting line makes you fast. Get 4 or 5 trucks in a row as Eric Beadle jumps to the bottom of the racetrack trying to stay out of the way. He's probably going to get a slowdown for that. Can't say that I blame him. He was trying to stay out of the way of the race leaders that were at a much faster pace. But going back to the drafting and being organized, that outside line has paid off pretty well throughout the course of this race. Not just because of the numbers, though that helps as well, but a nice tight single file line, that's what you're looking for in a group of trucks or even cars at a super speedway style track like Atlanta Motor Speedway, though it's not technically a super speedway. Closer you can get to the truck in front of you, plus adding the numbers of trucks, and then another addition of keeping them nice and straight. That makes that line go real fast because you're dividing that air resistance between all 5 trucks or however many you've got in the line. That's what you need to get done to make that outside line pay off. It's worked so far. About 8 to 10 laps away from another round of green flag stops. Remember the last time we had green flag pit stops, everybody got jammed up off turn 4 and it resulted in a caution. Hopefully that's not the case this time, but we've got a few laps to worry about it. Hopefully these guys can get things figured out before it comes down to that. Get single file, make your plan for pit lane, try to communicate with your fellow drivers. Real life, you can just wave your hand, hey guys, I'm pitting, but unfortunately you don't have that option here. You can queue up in the iRacing chat as Klein gets into Coleman on exit in the dog leg. Just a little nudge, a little rub, a little bump. Got away with one there, the 51. Caleb Sisk grabbing the outside wall off turn number 4, and Zach Millett's going to short pit here, come to pit road right now. Oh, and he loses it a bit too. Hopefully he got her woed down. Uncharacteristic for Zach Millett. We'll see if he got away with it. Again, knock on wood, haven't seen him catch a penalty for anything on pit road since we've been covering him. There's a first for everything. We'll see what happens. Comes to a stop in the pit box. Again, a little bit early. Right side's going on. Four tires and fuel for Zach Millett. And Zach Millett with the penalty. This one's going to be hard to recover from. Meanwhile, Brian Torsha off turn 4. He's going to hit pit road as well. Let's go back and look at it. We'll watch Millett enter pit lane here. Caleb Sisk was up the racetrack in the fence, and Millett says, you know, this is a good opportunity as any to come down pit road. You see him sliding through. And Torch actually was trying to pit with him. Didn't get her woed down. And actually, I don't know if Millett's getting a speeding penalty here or if an unsafe entry because he had the right sides in the grass before that commitment line. Nevertheless, a 55-second stop for Zach Millett. That's pit work and penalty. Torch leaves pit lane. Leaders coming on through here through turns 1 and 2. Albert Anderson, Chris Klein, 1 and 2. And Anderson, he pulls down way early. The entrance to turn 3 to make his pit stop, which in the real world, that's the right place to do it from. But he's going to give up a lot of track position in doing it as Coleman, he makes his pit stop late. He's going to come down pit road from the grass. He's likely to get a penalty out of that as well. See what happened here to the 19. Chris Klein was coming down as well. Just a real late entry. Something happened here. Looks like to the 29. Try to get a better look at that one. So here's the 29 truck. Jesse Sperling just losing it. I don't know if these guys got too much rear brake in it coming to pit road, but it seems like once they get straightened out, I don't know if that part of the racetrack is just slicker than the rest of the pit lane, but nevertheless, guys are having some troubles there. And Coleman's still in the pits. He has to serve his penalty for the unsafe entry. Meanwhile, Mark Collins, your new race leader. Top 4 on the racetrack: Mark Collins, Scott Milner, Paul Durkee, Justin Lawson. Top 5 on down. 5th on down in pit lane still. And other drivers coming down. Collins trying to get her woed up. You got Miller to the outside, Durkee in behind. Miller's trying to get it woed up. I don't think either one of them got slowed down in time. We'll see if that plays out. Mark Collins in the pits. Looks like fuel only for the 23. And looks like he got her woe down. So 12.6 seconds for the pit stop for the 23 truck. He's down and away. Milner beats him out. Milner's going to take the race lead for the time being. Chris Klein and Ottinger go on by. They're battling for the race lead now. They've completed their pit work. Certainly an exciting pit cycle. It looks like we got it done without bringing out the caution. Everybody's completed their stops. With that, I think everybody's in a position where they can make one more stop here and make it to the end.
Getting ready to have a caution.
And a caution comes out.
How are you doing?
Big trouble on the backstretch. Russ Kilgore, Scott Milner, Ben McKinnon. I guess it's good timing for that because it happened after the pit cycle. That's a plus. See if anybody tops off for fuel. Let's get a look, see what happened. This is out of turn 2. Kilgore slides up the racetrack a bit in front of McKinnon. Collins gets through. Milner not so lucky. Paul Durkee and Justin Lawson getting by. Meanwhile, Chris Klein back in pit lane. Curious to see if anybody that didn't take tires on their stop is going to take tires this time. Chris Klein, not one of them. His stop looks like it was 4 tires just recently, so this may be just topping off the tanks. A lot of drivers in pit road. Albert Anderson leaving. Brian Torsha entering pit lane. Just topping off the fuel for the 81 truck. Again, still going to need to make one more stop, I think, before this one is over. I think 36 laps, the absolute maximum you're going to be able to go without fuel save. Granted, if you're in the draft, tucked up behind another truck, you may be able to stretch that a couple of laps, but we haven't seen it present itself just yet. So Tom Barish is going to be your new race leader. Tony Polk, Jesse Redding, Paul Durkee, Justin Lawson, the top 5. Redding now the biggest mover of the race, at least for the time being. He's up 21 positions. Matt Sisler in the chat says, I think leagues might need to make it a rule that you got to pit. You have to run the apron in 3 and 4 if you're pitting here. It's hazardous to try and pit like that out of the pack on the exit of 4. It is. And again, as Chris Goins mentioned earlier on, that's why NASCAR changed it. Granted, they have a pit speed limit enacted even though you're entering in turn 3, but man, that's a long ways to go for a pit stop under green if you're going to make it in turn 3. And how do you police it? I guess that's the other thing. You almost need a live admin to watch just that part of the racetrack to make sure everybody follows the rules. Or we'll get lucky, and iRacing will update the pit entry to match what they use in real life. We'll see. I'm surprised they haven't already, to be honest. So, we're lined up 2x2 once again. Going to be lap 86 when we go back to green flag racing. It'll be this time by as the pace car lights have been extinguished. Top 5, Tom Barish, Tony Polk, Jesse Redding, Paul Durkee, and Russ Kilgore.
Green flag.
Green flag back in the air. Barish with a good jump. Polk tried to jump down in front of Redding, but not enough room to do it. Paul Durkee drops down a low lane. Big time run. The outside just didn't want to go. Tony Polk drifting back, losing a couple of positions down the back straightaway. Still no help. He's going to go all the way back to the 7 of Kilgore, I think, before he gets any drafting partners. But now he's battling back without help on the outside. Jesse Redding taking a look to the inside on Tom Barish. Barish still with the lead, but Durkee slides out in front by just a little bit. Justin Lawson slipped up the racetrack, took away that drafting help for a moment, and somebody lost connection there in the back of the pack. Now Durkee out in front with a teammate just in behind in the 18 of Lawson. Truck and Tony Polk losing connection once again. He's on the inside in that black F-150. Definitely not the place to have that happen. It's very dangerous. Meanwhile, Barish jumps back out in front with drafting help from the 21. Big run down into turn number 1. Jesse Redding right there. Tony Polk keeping his distance. Barish having a real strong run here tonight. Hope he can bring it home for a solid finish, maybe even a win here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. But Paul Durkee's got other plans. He dives down to the bottom of the racetrack, slows the run from the 55, abandons the 18, Justin Lawson, his teammate. .35 laps to go from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to take a side-by-side break once again. Be back for the finish and one more round of pit stops. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Atlanta Motor Speedway, coming to 26 laps to go. You saw it in the break there. Had a new leader for a time being. Caleb Sisk took it over. He's still up there in the mix to the bottom side. Justin Lawson is taking it back. Lawson with some drafting help from a teammate, Paul Durkee. Stripe, 25 laps to go. Lawson leads that lap. He's got Paul Durkee in second, Caleb Sisk in the third spot. Fourth is Chris Klein. Anderson is fifth. Some heavy hitters here at the front of the field. And speaking of which, Zach Millett has quietly snuck himself back into the top six. I say that now, seventh. Still alongside there with DL and Grote. Grote in the number 14 skunkworks.com entry. Lawson with some connection issues there for just a moment. Actually, that might have been Durkee. I don't know who it was. Somebody in the top three blinked out for a moment. Actually, it might have been Caleb Sisk. Caleb, the lead truck in the low lane. Meanwhile, Justin Lawson starting to stretch it out just a tad. Over the 13 of Paul Durkee, back to the stripe, 23 to go. Lawson with it, Durkee second, Klein, Grote, Sisk in some of those orders. They switch them up about every 100 feet. Now that we're getting into crunch time, the 13 of Paul Durkee, he's got a decision to make. Obviously, he's not just going to let the teammate win, but he's not going to do him the wrong way. But he does have a decision. Do you go for that move, knowing that the 51 of Klein's probably going to go with you? There it is. Looks to the inside. Now Klein's got to make a decision. Which way? No, he goes back up. That might have been a bit of a feint to see if the 51 was going to work with him. But meanwhile, Grote back to the inside here. He's the inside on the 13, looking for the second spot. Grote coming on strong all of a sudden. Justin Lawson still with the race lead. Paul Durkee runs in the second spot. Grote slips back just a bit. Chris Klein takes the third position, still in a battle with the 14. Klein's trying to make a decision here. Which way does he want to go? Eric Beadle slow in the bottom of the racetrack. 20 laps to go from Atlanta Motor Speedway. The top two, Lawson and Durkee, working well together. Trick here is going to be making sure you get some help with you in that bottom lane. You can't let the top two drivers right now, Lawson and Durkee, get side by side, because then you got to find a way around, and you may have to force it three wide to get it done. Grote back to the inside of the 13, Paul Durkee, for the second spot. Sisk dropping out his connection again, quickly comes back in. Tension is certainly building here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Drivers out here trying to plan their moves. Looking forward to the last couple of laps. When do you make that move? Do you wait till the final lap? The final corner maybe? Or do you do it a little bit early? A couple of laps before the white flag. Then you got to defend, and then everybody else has to react. And the big one is looming. We've seen it most of this race, though. That top side seems to be the place to be. Durkee dropping down actually gave a little bit of a draft to the 14 of Grote. Don't know if that was intentional or not, but he was just trying to sniff and look around the 18 of Lawson. Grote, though, back to the inside, snips the nose out in the front of the second position. Might have enough run to slide up. Does he? No, now he's kind of alongside the 18 at the stripe. 16 to go. Grote's going to be a factor in this. Sisk back up into the 4th spot, Klein 5th. Anderson runs there just behind in 6th. Back into the dogleg at the stripe. Hard to tell if it was Grote or Lawson. Very, very close at the line. I don't think Grote's led a lap yet this evening, but he's awfully close. He's out in front by just half a truck length off turn number 2. Big time pusher in behind. It's the 6 of Caleb Sisk. Lawson carries that outside momentum, which honestly might be the best place to be as the tires start to wear, but I think we're going to have another round of pit stops before this one's over. And it's coming soon. May come with less than 10 laps to go. Lost a truck in the mix for a moment. Does he come back? And there he goes again. Sisk disappearing now that he's on the back bumper of Grote. That's the most dangerous time for it to happen, too. We've talked about it so many times with the connection issues. When you blink out like that, it's just a matter of a guess as to where you're going to land when you come back in. So if you're the driver that's just behind, you almost have to lift a little bit to give some extra space. Because if he comes in and lands on your roof, it's going to be a bad day. Grote with a full truck length out ahead of the second place machine of Lawson. Thought about coming back up, but not quite clear. Lawson now jumps back to the outside. Side by side through 3 and 4. Oh, in trouble. Sisk in the wall. It's turned.
Talk to you about your car real quick.
Multiple drivers involved. I wouldn't quite say it's the big one, but it's a big one for the 6. Day might be done here for Caleb Sisk. Was looking at a possible win, and he is out. See what happened here off turn 4. The 13 comes down and gets into the right rear. Hard to explain that one away. Let's try and look at it here from the roof cam on Durkee's truck. We'll back it up a little further. Quarter speed here. This is battling for the 3rd spot. Full speed. Well, once again, it happens right as we're getting ready to make some pit stops, though it was not a result of green flag pit stops. going to watch this again here from another angle. Nice quarter speed here. The 6 and the 13. 13's got some room up top, and he's pretty solid in his lane here. We've talked about it a lot during this race, how drivers are not being able to keep the car pinned in their lane as well as they were, at least late in the run. Try and see if I can get a better angle on this. Watching the rear view camera of Grote, this is probably going to be our best opportunity to look at it. Yeah, you see the 6 is starting to come up. Looks like Durkee's trying to give him a little bit of room. And I'm wondering if the 6 lost the nose there in being behind Grote. Little arrow push. There you have it. So, pace car lights are off. Means we're going back green flag racing the next time by. It'll be 8 laps to go when we get the green flag. It's going to be Albert Anderson, D. Allen Grote, Justin Lawson, Chris Klein, and P.J. Cox, the top 5. Then it's Zach Millett, Jacob Sperling, Tony Polk, Mark Collins, and Jeff Ottinger rounding out the top 10. Pace car is off.
Green flag.
Green flag back in the air. Anderson with another great restart. Battle for the second spot. Could be 3 wide. Nope, not going to be the case. Lawson, Grote, and Klein, very aggressive. It's go time. And speaking of aggressive, on the outside, Zach Millett out of turn number 2, picking up a couple of spots, goes from 6th to 4th. 3-truck fight into turn number 3. It was almost a 3-truck tandem.
Caution's
And
out,
the caution's out again. Big time trouble here off turn number 4 again.
We'll keep working
Jeff
on this thing,
Ottinger
Corey.
and
How you doing
others all
inside there? You doing
involved.
okay?
Well, let's get a look at this one. It's kind of what we expected here. Things were going to get kind of chaotic as this race got to the end. So Redding's up the racetrack. Something happened in front of him. Looks like it. Looks like Ottinger got the worst of it. We'll back it up again here. Yeah, same thing. Ottinger slides up the track a bit into the 71, and he just rears himself effectively, sends him way up the racetrack. Sperling, Torsha, Milner, all involved. Jesse Redding threading the needle here, trying to get through. Does he get through without contact? That's going to be the key here, because I think he'll get a lucky dog out of this if that's the case. See, Jesse was very tedious and careful about getting through that traffic. So we'll try this again. As we close into the end of this race, cautions breed cautions. We do have 3 opportunities at a green, white, checkered finish, if so necessary. There you see it, pace car lights go out, so next time by, we'll have another opportunity here. 4 laps to go when we get back to the line and the green flag. PJ Cox in the stream chat says, my power flash and it dropped me. Picked a heck of a time to do it. Tough break, PJ. You had a good run going. And wrapping up caution number 6, field working turn number 2. Going to be green flag racing the next time by. Pace car pulls off. Let's give it another try, folks. Brian Torsha back there with plenty of front end damage. Looks like a modified turned into
Ready,
a truck.
green flag.
Green flag back in the air. Anderson with a good restart. Chris Klein tight to the back bumper. Half a truck off the tailgate of the 99 as they barrel down into turn number 1. Top 4 single file, now top 5. Battle for the race lead. Chris Klein makes a look to the outside into 3. Thinks better of it, tucks back in behind. Might be too early for this move, we'll see. Back to the stripe, 3 laps to go. Down the back straightaway once again. Anderson with the lead. Now the battle for the second spot. Lawson jumps to the outside of Chris Klein. Klein maintains his position on the bottom side. Anderson goes up to block the run from the 18. Opens the door for Chris Klein. Off turn number 4. 2 laps to go. Zach Millett up the middle. All of a sudden, where did he come from? He tucks in behind Anderson. Now he's in this mix. 3 wide for the race lead in Atlanta. One car scrapes the outside wall, keeps his foot in it. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide for the race lead. 3 wide for the top 6. Back to the stripe, white flag in the air. Final lap from Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's a 3 wide battle for the top 6 still. Contact, they're in the wall. Zach Millett crashes, but the battle's gonna rage on for the race lead and the win here in Atlanta. Chris Klein on the bottom, Anderson and the 18 of Lawson to the outside. Klein with almost a full truck length, but not quite clear. Mark Collins in the mix, and the Hardy's number 23 is going to push Klein out into the front, in through turns 3 and 4. Klein out in front, nobody alongside. He can block 3 lanes if he has to. Coming to the stripe, checkered flag. Chris Klein wins it. Mark Collins finishes second. Justin Lawson takes third. Trouble after the fact. And a beat up truck. Zach Millett finishes in the 11th spot. But the big winner, Chris Klein, he was strong all night long and when it mattered. Everybody's celebrating this one. Chris Klein parks it on the start-finish line, and just like that, he's gone. With that, we'll step aside here, get a break out of the way. We'll be back with our top 3 finishers after this. Stay with us.
I met Marco Sgarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the race in the books. Chris Klein, your race winner, with pull the driver of the number 51 up in the broadcast booth, and get a word with Chris. Chris, it's Steve in the HBR TV booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How are you tonight?
We're doing good, but not as good as you. Chris, congratulations on a thrilling victory. It was nothing short, almost dominant, honestly. You started in the 3rd position. You led some laps early. You were always out towards the front. And, man, you were there when it mattered. You take the checkered flag. Tell us about your race.
First and foremost, want to shout out to Derek. He wasn't here tonight. His mom had an accident, and our thoughts and prayers are with his mom. We've got an update. She's doing okay. She's going to have to stay overnight, but want to reach out to him, let him know we're thinking about him. I was very nervous being at a restrictor plate for a super speedway race. Derek is my push partner 99.9% of the time, and this was probably my only chance to win this season. The guys in this league are phenomenal, and I don't stand a chance at most of the tracks. And so I had this one circled. Atlanta being a home track, Derek not being here, I got super nervous, and Albert stuck his head in and said, "Hey, can I join you?" And Albert and I have always raced really well together, and it didn't take us a couple of laps, and we were like, all right, this is what we're doing tonight, and we just ran away with it, and it was fun.
We
It's a lot of
certainly noticed that early on. America's driver himself, a great pusher, it seemed. You guys, I guess you could almost call it shake and bake there for a little while. You got separated at one point, but you still brought it home. What was the strategy? What was going through your head there on those final laps?
Honestly, survival. Albert and I talked before the green flag, and he said, I'm going to count it down, and we're going to go, and we did, and we took off, and when they started catching us, I didn't know what to do. I took 4 tires on that last stop. Albert didn't, and he was struggling, and I said, let's go back to the old set that we did where we were just dominating both lines and trying to control it, and that worked for a minute until Zach got there. And then it got 3 wide, and Zach was coming, and I just went all out. And then luckily Mark popped up in the back and pushed me out past everybody and pushed me across the line for the win. And couldn't be more thankful to the NTG team for getting me the win tonight.
Well, it was a blast to watch, a great finish, certainly. Congratulations on the win, Chris. Next week we go to Martinsville Speedway talking about survival. That one's going to be a fun one. I don't know what the definition of fun really is there, but how do you feel about short track racing in these trucks out of the paperclip next week?
I like Martinsville. I hope we can get everybody on board with taking care of each other and getting to the end of the race, get a rhythm going, and just if everybody will take care of each other, we will have a good, entertaining race, and it will not be a caution fest.
That's all we can ask for sure. Chris, congratulations again on the race win here tonight. Who do you want to shout out to? I'm sure you've got some people you want to thank.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank all of our sponsors at NTRL, Track Dogs Racing, Davidson Builders, Martin Sports, Track Bar Media, Sim Gear Central, and special shout out to DEP for the new paint scheme. I went to him about a week ago and I said, look, we need to do something that's a little more aggressive. So he came up with the Angry Beaver paint scheme. I work for Beaver Toyota. Great company to work for. They support me in doing this. They have fun with it. We changed their mascot around a little bit and just got something more aggressive for the run for the playoffs and have a little fun with it. So definitely shout out to him. Like I just mentioned, to Derek, to everybody, all the admins and everybody that does so much over at NTRL to make all of this happen. Shout out to them. Big shout out to Tom tonight for a phenomenal run. He won't get the recognition he deserves tonight for the 4th place finish that he brought home. But that's it. And thanks to you, Steve. Enjoy watching these. They're a ton of fun. You do a phenomenal job.
Well, thanks for the kind words, man. Congratulations again. Good luck next week out at the short track.
Thanks. See you there.
Chris Klein, your race winner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Next, we're going to talk to Mark Collins. Speaking of new paint schemes, Hardy's number 23, throwing it back to either Days of Thunder or Cal Yarborough. We'll find out specifically here in just a minute. Pull Mark Collins into the broadcast booth and get a word with the driver of the number 23. Mark, it's Steve in the booth. You got me?
I got you.
Mark, congratulations, man. A runner-up finish. It kind of came together kind of last minute there, I thought. You jumped up there. Everybody was 3 wide in the first 6 spots, and you made it through the carnage. Walk us through that last lap and what it looked like out the front windshield of that Hardy's Silverado.
It was hectic. It was 3 wide, like at least 2 cars deep, the way I felt. And then I was just sticking behind my teammate. I was like, I'm pushing you, Chris. Wherever we go, we go.
Well, it worked out for you guys. A race win for Chris, a runner-up for you, a solid finish for sure. We were talking about this new paint scheme you've got on the truck. Is this a Days of Thunder throwback or Cal Yarborough throwback?
That was a Days of Thunder throwback I was messing around with the other day. I didn't know it was still on the truck, to tell you the truth. I thought,
maybe it's on my end and I got to refresh. Either way, it looks good, but you brought it home in the 2nd spot, so that's a plus.
Yeah, that's always good. 2 weeks in a row, back-to-back podiums for me.
Nothing wrong with that. Next week, can you make it 3 at Martinsville?
I don't think so, but I'll try.
Mark, and again, nice job with a runner-up finish. Who do you want to shout out to?
Everyone over at NTG, all the admins and NTRL and DW. I know he had some issues tonight. His mother is in the hospital, but just everyone over at NTG. It's like a family.
All right, Mark. Well, thanks for talking to us. Congratulations. Good luck next week at Martinsville.
Thank you.
It's Mark Collins, your 2nd place finisher here at Atlanta. Next, we're going to talk to the 18 of Justin Lawson, coming home in the third position. Had a truck that could have won this thing for sure. Justin, it's Steve in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Justin, congratulations. A solid top 3 finish. A bunch of laps led here tonight, in contention to the bitter end. Walk us through the final few laps here at Atlanta.
Yeah, it was definitely white knuckle there. Lost my drafted partner for much of that last run, Paul. He got collected up in the previous wreck and then got wadded up again. But with him, I felt like I had a pretty good chance. Without him, it was gonna have to be some other carnage for me to win that one. There's some strong guys up there for sure.
Well, you were working well with the teammate for quite a while. It was appearing to be paying off, but just didn't make it to the end the way that you had planned. Do you have a plan in store to work with the teammate next week at Martinsville? Obviously, drafting not going to come into play there, but maybe some strategy? What do you think?
Yeah. This whole season, I feel like we've had a strategy, and then a caution that we didn't expect comes out. Our strategy this year has been awful, but hopefully we can turn it around. I don't know if I made the playoffs or not. I think it's going to be close on points, but I got Brandon and Paul. My teammates are both in the playoffs, so we'll at least try to work with them and see how far we can take it with them.
Teamwork makes the dream work. We'll see how it pays off next week. Again, Justin, congratulations on a third-place finish here. Who do you want to thank before we let you get going?
Just my teammates, Brandon, Paul, and Ben McKinnon. Y'all guys are putting this on, and all the NTRL guys. They put on the best leagues in this stuff.
All right, Justin, well, thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
Your third-place finisher, Justin Lawson, here in Atlanta. And next we're going to talk to Zach Millett, who has locked up the regular season championship here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Just had to have a solid finish, and I think the incident with Caleb Sisk is really what precipitated this being possible. Millett getting crashed here on the last lap, I believe. I'm not sure exactly how it went down. We'll look at it later, but we'll pull him up into the broadcast booth. Maybe he can walk us through it. Zach, it's Steve in the HBR TV booth. You got me?
Hey, Steve. What's up, buddy?
Zach, congratulations, man. Not a stellar run here tonight, but it was enough to lock up the regular season championship, so congratulations with that.
Thanks, man.
With all that said, walk us through that last lap. We saw you come through the field like a cannon, basically. Just bowl in a china shop way you're through the field. You guys were 3 wide, top 3, top 6 positions, and then all of a sudden it all went to hell in a handbasket. Walk us through what happened there at the end.
Oh, man. This whole race is just like on the razor's edge. I mean, it's tough, man. Even if you got like tires and everything, there's nowhere to go. I mean, you can force it 3 wide, but I mean, you just kind of hope and pray everybody else holds their line, and most of the time it doesn't happen. So, yeah, when we came to pit road under the green flag, I really don't want to talk about it, but I know you know what happened. I finally killed that streak. It was only like 3 years of messing that up, so I guess we got to start over on that. But
well, with that, let's talk about that. I mean,
I don't want to.
We need to, because I really just kind of want an explanation, at least the first incident there, what put the caution out. You were in the bottom lane. Everybody was getting ready to make green flag stops. Barish came down to pit lane, and then there was a big checkup, it looked like, and then you jumped to the outside. So from your perspective, what happened? Because then you got run over from the back at hard charging Joe Tucker.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody just had to pit there. It was either that lap or the next. I think everybody was running out. And, you really don't want to pit alone, obviously, because then you're screwed. So Torch and I were really kind of planning it. We wanted to come down just a little bit early. And again, it's because of that track position here. It's just so vital. We planned that lap kind of last second. We got to the bottom. And, yeah, he missed it. And I pretty much missed it. I somehow missed the cone, but I was 70 mile an hour over the line, so I just barely missed it. But yeah, the other one where we all kind of died, that was pretty tough. Same thing though. Everybody just tried to get pit road at the same time, and it's just, I don't know, this track it just races so much more narrow than it actually is.
Well, I mean, it is narrow, and it's not so much the width of it. I mean, it's not much more narrow than a place like Daytona, for instance, but it's a shorter track, so it does have a tighter radius as far as turning is concerned. I think the pit entry could be changed a little bit. I know in real life NASCAR's got them coming in pit lane in turn 3. How do you feel if the league were to make a change in the future about this place and require everyone to hit pit lane from the apron of turn 3 instead of the last second out of 4?
I think it would be awesome. I really want them to do it, but the key is I don't want the the speed limit line to be there. I want it to be a commitment line going into 3, and then carry your own speed all the way through 3 and 4 as fast as you want to go, to stand below that red line, and then woe it down to 60 before, the same spot it is right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the leagues make a change and they say, hey, you got to enter in turn 3, there's not really a way to police the speed limit. But if iRacing makes the change, it's probably going to have to be your pit speed limit is going to start in turn 3, just like it does for NASCAR. But we'll see if it even happens. We'll play it out. But nonetheless, you still come out of here with something positive to talk about, and that's a regular season title. Moving into Martinsville next week, short track racing. I don't know. It could be crazy. It could be chaotic. But we know how Zach Millett is on the brakes. How do you feel about your chance next week on the short track?
I like it there. I like it in the trucks. There's not a whole lot of power, so I mean it's fairly easy to drive. You just kind of try to not kill the right front, and you'll be fine. And it's going to be another track position deal. It's really nowhere to pass when it gets congested. So, yeah, we're going to give it hell. It's playoff time, so we got to put our head down, put some practice in with the HBR guys, and get it done.
That's all you can do, Zach. Congratulations again, locking up the regular season title. Who do you want to thank? Help you get this done this season.
I got to thank you, Steve, and HBR TV, HBRTV1.com, HBRShops.com. I got to thank Numb Thumbs Gaming, the NTRL, DW, all the admins that make this possible. I got to give a shout out to DW. I hope everything goes well. I know he missed tonight. Something that happened, so we're all, praying for the best outcome there, and we hope to see him next week. Martin Sports, Track Bar Media, Eric Dotson, State Farm, Castle Pax Power, Davidson Builders, and I got to throw a shout out to Beatles Custom Car Carriers. He's been working real hard, man. He's got a ton of orders in. He's really starting to blow it up on Facebook, and do really well. If you're into die-cast tractor trailers and really high detail things, find him on Facebook. It's Beatles Custom Car Carriers, and shoot me a follow over on the Twitch at That Is For Guy.
All right, Zach, thanks for talking to us again. Congratulations. Good luck next week.
Thanks, brother.
Let's get wrap it up. As far as the interview portion of tonight's broadcast, let's take a look at our race results. We already talked to our top 3, Chris Klein, Mark Collins, Justin Lawson, Tom Barish. A solid top 4 run. He led some laps here tonight, had a great race going. I know he wished he could have gotten up into that top 3, but a solid top 5 for the 55. Albert Anderson, a strong run as well, coming in late, finishing 5th. Russ Kilgore was 6th. Tony Polk was 7th. Jesse Redding finished in the 8th spot. Paul Durkee was 9th. Zach Millett, we just spoke to, finished out in the 10th spot. Jacob Sperling was 11th. Brian Torsha was 12th. Scott Milner finished 13th. D. Allen Grote was 14th in the number 14. Joe Tucker finishes in the 15th spot. Alfie Charon never really recovered from that major penalty to start the race. He finishes 16th, 3 laps down. Jesse Sperling 17th. Brandon Coleman was the 18th finisher. 19th went to Benjamin McKinnon. Connor Leach was 20th. PJ Cox 21st after a power outage at his place. Jeff Ottinger 22nd. Eric Beadle was 23rd. Caleb Sisk unfortunately finishes 24th, 11 laps down. And Jarrett Woodard finishes last in the 25th position, 32 laps down. Your race results here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Next week, we roll to Martinsville Speedway, the half-mile flat paperclip. It's going to be another crazy one, I'm guessing. Start the playoffs on the short track. Just going to be chaos. Either way, it's going to be a fun one to watch. Make sure you guys tune in for it here at HBR TV. Also, give us a like on the stream. That helps a lot. It's free to do. Just click the like button. Share it if you want. We do appreciate that as well. Thank you guys for jumping in the stream chat as well this evening. Started off a little slow, but it picked up. Thanks Chris Goins, PJ Cox, Tucker family, Chastity Tucker, Eddie Rose, Vincent Short, Derek Welch even jumped in from the ER, Matt Sisler, and of course Skunkworks Graphics Racing, the sponsor of tonight's race, the SkunkWorksGraphics.com 190 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Thank those guys for jumping on board for another sponsorship race this season. We do appreciate that. It certainly helps the league across the board. With that, I'm going to step aside. Congratulations to Chris Klein on his race win here tonight. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you at the next one. Have a good night.